Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And Xbox, they're making the rounds once again today. They've been very busy lately, to say the least, but this time instead of Xboss Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, the head of Xbox Studios, in an interview had several things to say about some of their upcoming exciting games. This includes the likes of Fable. I know a lot of you are wondering about that one. Perfect Dark, there's been a lot of questions surrounding this one. Then you have InXile's next game. What are they working on? Well, Matt Booty had something to say about that one as well, so we're going to talk about all of those games a little later on in this video, as well as a big PlayStation 5 exclusive releasing next year, as it sounds like it's tracking very, very well. Also, another really exciting game for that matter. Per usual though, if you're new to the channel and if you like gaming just even slightly, make sure to whack those buttons below, that way you'll never miss another daily gaming update again. Hit that like, subscribe, and ring that bell. With that said though, let's just go jump right into things, starting off with a brand new release that's going just a little under the radar, and it really shouldn't be, being Ghost Song. Now, we did briefly talk about this game a few days ago when talking about Xbox Game Pass, but it did just launch, and it looks like a game that Metroid fans need to pay attention to. Now, I haven't gotten to play this one quite yet myself. I will soon know, definitely now, but you can tell from the trailer alone, it's heavily inspired by Metroid, with some of the animations and the mechanics on display. However, the good news here is that reviews are slowly trickling out now, and it currently has an 88 overall score on Metacritic as of this recording. Then if you go over to Steam reviews, they're just as glowing, with an 89% approval rating. So that's a good early indication. I mean, when you have both critics and fans alike in agreement, yeah, that usually means that it's a pretty good game, and it sounds like that's very much the case with Ghost Song. I'm hearing it's a beautiful Metroidvania, it's got great atmosphere and also satisfying combat. So, I mean, if you're like me, and if you like this genre, or if you like Metroid, you might want to go ahead and try out Ghost Song. It is now available for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, PC, Xbox, and yes, it's also available on Xbox Game Pass. Yet another really good Xbox Game Pass game. I mean, by this point, it's starting to get a little difficult to keep up. Now, we do also have a leak to talk about today, which is both interesting and amusing at the same time. But early gameplay footage for Hideo Kojima's horror game Overdose did now find its way online. This was actually kind of a strange leak, as the person recording the footage was using their phone, and you could see their reflection on screen, revealing that they didn't even care to put a shirt on for whatever reason. Whatever, it is what it is. What we do know though is that Overdose gameplay is now officially out there, which on one side confirms some of the things that we already knew. It is a third-person horror game, as was previously leaked, and the main character wandering around is, in fact, Mama from Death Stranding. Though that there is really interesting to me now that I've actually seen it in motion for myself. Of course, for copyright-related reasons, I'm not going to post that footage on my channel, but this entire sequence, to me, looks to be a proof of concept, more or less. And I think that could actually be one of the reasons that she's used as a player model here. There's also some other things happening in the video though, including a camera player one that appears to be on screen, and that leads to some speculation that there might be some type of cooperative gameplay, or at least some type of multiplayer aspect to it. There's also some speculation that it can be played on a mobile phone in some capacity. Remember, this is a cloud-based game after all, so being on several devices does make sense, but there's like this interactive dot that appears on screen, so maybe it could be played in multiple ways rather than just by a controller. Again though, I left thinking that this could be a proof of concept, and from what I gathered, I think that we're in for a unique horror experience. Hideo Kojima, he certainly seems to be in his bag with some different ideas here, and I'm very curious as to what he comes up with, especially now that this video is out there. There's definitely some questions after you see that gameplay. Next up though, let's go and get into the Xbox news, as there's actually 3 different topics to go over here. I'll try to go over each in quick succession, but Matt Booty, in an interview with SkillUp, did talk about various upcoming games, and I wanted to focus on 3 in specific. The first of which is about Perfect Dark. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this one specifically is because there's been a lot of questions around this game and what's exactly happening with its development. There's been a lot of turnover within the initiative, their brand new studio working on it, and then you have Crystal Dynamics' involvement. They made this big announcement last year that the two are co-developing Perfect Dark, and the community was a little mixed on this announcement. Some fans were a little confused and thought it might have been a little strange. Well, Matt Booty was asked about all of this and said that the initiative has a full team working on Perfect Dark, and then he also said that Crystal Dynamics has a full team on it as well. He describes them as equal partners in co-development, but he also pointed out that this is something that they've been doing for quite a while. Games like Flight Simulator, Minecraft Dungeons and Legends, and then also Age of Empires 4 were all co-developed games. He even goes on to say that he believes that we're going to start to see a lot more of this in the game industry going forward, which truthfully, we already have been. Nintendo, as an example, they have made great use of co-development with games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Mario Kart 8, where Bandai Namco, they help them out. And then when it comes to big AAA games, almost all AAA games anymore have some type of support, including the upcoming God of War Ragnarok, which brought in several studios, including Bluepoint. I mean, even when it comes to Call of Duty, Activision has like all of their studios helping out with that series. So I think it's one of those situations that I think a lot of gamers just don't really know about this type of stuff too much because it's not really as highlighted. But if you do pay attention, it does happen. There's a lot of support for a lot of these games across the industry, whether that just be for simple outsourcing, co-development, or whatever. It does absolutely happen, and there's some pretty major success stories out there. See, that there for me has always kind of been the thing here. When I first heard that Crystal Dynamics was helping out with Perfect Dark, I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Because here you have this proven studio that's already done great work rebooting the Tomb Raider franchise. So to me, that just means more proven talent, which, I mean, to me, if you just put that together, it just sounds like there's a higher chance of it being a good game. So I always kind of viewed that as a good thing. It, however, does sound like the main reason they brought in Crystal Dynamics, though, is not just because of their talent, but also because it helps speed up the process and development, which is a good thing for gamers as well. Overall, though, based on Matt Booty's response, everything is going good in terms of Perfect Dark's development, so no concerns there. I know some people will always try to stir up something, but it really does sound like Perfect Dark is in a good place. And even from internal discussions that's made its way online in the past, the developers working over at the initiative, they seem incredibly excited as to where that game is heading. Now, as for Fable, this is another one of those games that fans have been wondering about. It is being handled by Playground Games, which has no experience with RPGs. This is a studio known for their racing expertise with the Forza Horizon series. Great series, by the way. But Matt Booty was asked about that, and he responded by saying not only do they have a great technology base and dedication to craft and quality, but they also have a particular passion for the Fable IP. He says that they understand the heart and soul of the IP, and that he believes that they can bring that to a modern audience. He even mentions that some of the things that he's seen on it has really encouraged him. Now, Phil Spencer, he actually said something similar last week as well, which I thought was kind of interesting here. Phil was raving over some of the things that he has seen on Fable. He seems very excited about that game. Interestingly enough, though, as we discovered earlier this week as well, Microsoft also decided to bring in Eidos Montreal to help out with this game. I guess they decided not to make that a big announcement this time, considering the confusion for Perfect Dark's announcement. But Eidos Montreal coming in to help is very good news for, again, the exact same reasons. They're very talented, and it will speed up the process and development, and that's the reason I wanted to bring this up. We could maybe start hearing about both of these games as early as next year. Now, I don't know if they'll actually release in 2023. I'd still peg them for 2024, but maybe we could start to see them for ourselves, as they have a lot of talented resources on them currently. Now, as for the last game that I wanted to talk about here, I wanted to highlight InXile's next game. Now, we've heard different bits and pieces about this unannounced project. It sounds like it's an open-world, first-person RPG, maybe with a steampunk setting. It does sound a little more ambitious compared to some of their previous games like Wasteland 3 as an example, and I think that that's already exciting considering, I mean, they are among the better RPG developers out there. Matt, though, he talked about this game glowingly and just how impressed he was with with what he's seen so far. He actually said when they had all their studios heads together within just like the last 6 months or so, InXile showed a vertical slice of this project, and everybody apparently was blown away, and that they also had a lot to show. He said they showed like 15 plus minutes of gameplay and wanted to show even more than just that. Now, the way he was talking about this project though, it did make it sound like this game might actually be ready to show soon. I think there's a good chance that we might actually hear about this game sometime in 2023. And that there was my main takeaway. When you start to look around at Xbox's different first-party studios, it's starting to get to the point where their acquisitions are going to start paying off. Games like Fable and Perfect Dark are now getting more resources and could pop up next year or maybe in 2024. You have this InXile game that's more ambitious than their previous work, or maybe, and they already have a lot to show. You have Hellblade 2 incoming. We've already seen that game. You have Project Mara. Both of those games have been in development for a while. There's Starfield and Redfall next year, and when you put it all together, over the next 2 years, they have a lot of big games coming, and this leans into what Phil Spencer said here recently. 2022 might have been a light year for Xbox first-party content, but 2023 onward is sounding really, really good. Dare I say, this might actually be the best few years in Xbox's history. It's shaping up that well. Now, speaking of Xbox exclusives, let's go and take a look at the opposite side of the coin as well, because PlayStation, they look to have a strong 2023 as well with some big exclusives, including Final Fantasy 16. Now, I personally love the Final Fantasy franchise. I think that they are so timeless, and with each individual installment, they just always seem to do something that really excites me, and I think 16 looks absolutely fantastic. It is being handled by the Final Fantasy 14 team, which, I mean, for a lot of fans out there, they view some of those expansions as really some of the best the series has seen, just period. So there is this real curiosity on how they take that expertise to a completely single-player standalone game. There's certainly a lot of potential there, and it also looks much more mature than previous entries as well. In fact, this is the first mainline Final Fantasy game to receive a mature rating. Either which way, though, it is shaping up very well and is easily one of my most anticipated games as of this moment. The good news here, though, is that in an interview with Famitsu, the team revealed that Final Fantasy 16 is 95% complete and that more news will come by the end of the year, which looks to include an official release date rather than that mysterious summer 2023 window. Now, we're currently in the month of November, so I mean, we're talking about an imminent announcement by this point. It's either going to happen this month in November or next month in December. And I'd say with the Game Awards right around the corner, there's a very likely chance that it will end up being there. I really am just so excited for this game, though, so I do hope that we get the official release date soon. I mean, in terms of gameplay and story, and from everything that they've shown so far, I'm already there. I don't need to see any more on this game. I've seen enough. I am ready to play this game for myself, so give us that release date, hopefully sometime here soon. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though. We're asked you all, do you think Nintendo will announce a new Switch successor or upgrade next year in 2023? And as you can see here, most of you all are actually not expecting this, with 54% of you saying no, while 39% of you said yes. So that's actually really interesting because it does look like a lot of you believe they're just going to wait for 2024 instead, which would be 7 years after the Switch first launched. That would be tied for the longest gap between home console releases for Nintendo in just history. The NES in 1983 and then the Super Nintendo in 1990, I believe, is the longest gap between home consoles for them up to this point. Now, to be fair though, the Switch is a hybrid console, so I mean, it's a little bit different here, but this generation is definitely one of the longer generations for Nintendo. Now, at the same time though, I think what Boy Aster said in the comments pretty much summed up this situation well, as they said, Nintendo is in a tough spot now. The Switch sells like crazy, so it would be a bad move to announce a successor, but at the same time, it struggles more and more to handle new games. I think a Switch successor could release in 2024, but it must be a hybrid console and have backwards compatibility to the Switch, so that we can smoothly transition to the new hardware with our libraries. And I couldn't agree with this more. I firmly do believe that Nintendo needs to stick with that hybrid design, just make a more powerful Super Switch and make it backwards compatible. If they do all that, not only will their current games continue continue to sell, but they'll also see a huge amount of continued success as they offer something both unique and attractive when compared to Xbox and PlayStation. They really have just carved their own niche here, just having that handheld option. It doesn't have to be as powerful as Xbox and PlayStation, but that handheld option is just such a good selling point, and it would be really smart for them to continue on with that. Now, like you said, though, the Switch is showing its age now, and that's where the question kind of comes in. We are starting to get to that point where it might be time to talk about that next generation console, but so far, it looks like you all aren't expecting anything in 2023. I guess we'll see, though. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.